The forest awakens. The forest stirs beneath the pale morning mist, its silence broken only by the faint rustle of leaves. Along the narrow dirt paths, steel traps glint faintly in the dawn light. Farmers stand watch, their faces lined with exhaustion and worry. The wild boars have returned. They don't just destroy crops, they bring fear, ruin, and sleepless nights. Even with traps set and fences reinforced, these cunning beasts somehow find a way through, tearing apart everything in their path. And that's when we are called. Our task is clear: stop the invaders before they strike again. But this isn't merely a hunt. It's a never-ending struggle between human perseverance and the untamed will of nature. As the sun climbs above the treetops, our team prepares for battle. Rifles checked, radios synced, dogs restless with anticipation. The air is thick with tension. Then, in the distance, the hounds break the silence with a single bark. The chase has begun. I move forward quietly, my senses tuned to every rustle and sound. Through the mist, a dark silhouette emerges, the boar, massive and alert. The dogs have cornered it, circling like a coordinated force of nature. I steady my rifle. No rush, no mistakes. One deep breath, a squeeze of the trigger, bang. A perfect headshot. The beast collapses instantly, the forest falling quiet once more. The second shadow. Victory sparks new energy among the team. The forest, however, has more secrets to reveal. Minutes later, another massive shadow stirs within the thick underbrush. The stillness returns, broken only by the rhythm of my footsteps and the whisper of the wind. I halt, positioning myself with precision. The boar steps into sight, unaware of what's coming. One clean movement, one steady aim, the rifle cracks sharply through the trees. The shot lands true. The boar crashes among the dry leaves, the echo fading into the woods. But the deeper we go, the more dangerous it becomes. Every sound feels alive. Every scent carries a warning. The musky odor of wild boar fills the air again, stronger, closer. Suddenly, a violent rustle explodes from the brush, another charge. The beast bursts forth, snarling, unstoppable. Instinct takes over. Gunfire erupts in response. Each shot is deliberate, measured, unflinching. When the last echo fades, the boar lies still. The reality sinks in. The distance between hunter and hunted had narrowed to mere meters. Survival here demands more than skill. It demands calm under chaos. The hounds strike. Moments later, the forest erupts with urgent barking. My lead hound has caught a scent, his voice sharp, commanding. The pack fans out, weaving through the thickets in perfect harmony. Their movements are swift, precise, a living chain of instinct and discipline. They corner the target before it even realizes it's trapped. I follow their lead, rifle raised, heart steady. The dense canopy above filters the light into shards of gold and shadow. I spot the silhouette moving, heavy, deliberate, unmistakable. Thomas's signal flashes in the distance, a quick hand motion through the trees. Everything slows down, my breath, my heartbeat, the very air itself. I align my sights, finger brushing the trigger. Bang! The shot rings clean, echoing through the forest. The beast drops instantly. The dogs go quiet, standing watch beside the fallen prey. Without these loyal companions, tracking boars through terrain like this would be nearly impossible, and surviving such close encounters, even less likely. Together, we are not just hunters. We are protectors of the fragile line that separates farmland from wilderness. The final hunt. Hours pass, each step heavier than the last. The sun begins to dip, casting long, golden shadows that stretch across the forest floor. We prepare to withdraw before darkness consumes the woods. But the wild has its own timing. Just as we start packing up, a faint movement stirs in the distance. The dogs tense, ears erect. Then, Without warning, they spring into action, tearing through the brush. The final chase begins. The forest comes alive one last time, barking, rustling, pounding hooves echoing through the twilight. I follow the sound, weaving through the trees until the final target comes into view. The last wild boar stands defiant, its eyes burning in the fading light. I raise my rifle, steady as ever, and squeeze the trigger. One shot. One end. The forest falls silent again. The hunt is over. The dogs pant softly, circling the fallen beast. We stand still for a moment, catching our breath, letting the calm return. The sun slips behind the hills, and the woods sink into darkness once more. Another day ends in this eternal battle between man and the wild, a victory hard-earned, yet only temporary. Tomorrow, the forest will awaken again. Kevin's team arrives. At exactly 5 in the evening, Kevin's team arrived, their timing as precise as their aim. Within minutes, they spread out across the farmland, each member slipping into position with quiet efficiency. From his vantage point, Kevin scanned the fields through his binoculars, watching every movement, every shadow. Then, he spotted it, a large figure grazing with its head down, unaware of the danger watching from afar. His eyes narrowed. His finger tightened around the trigger. One sharp crack split the silence. The dark silhouette dropped instantly, its weight sinking into the tall grass. A flawless strike. Swift, clean, powerful. It was more than a kill, it was a clear warning to the wild boars that had dared to trespass here. The message was simple: this land was protected. The field sweep. Kevin led his team deeper into the field, careful not to leave a single patch unchecked. Each step was deliberate, each glance focused. The soil still carried traces of destruction, uprooted stalks, torn leaves, the chaos left behind by the beasts. And then, there it was again, another wild boar, massive, confident, tearing through what remained of the crops. Kevin raised his rifle, his calm composure never wavering. He adjusted his stance, aligned his sights, and waited for the perfect angle. The gunfire rang out like thunder. The creature stumbled, taking a few desperate steps before collapsing into the bushes. Silence returned. The air felt lighter. Peace had been restored, at least for now. Jay's first shot. Across the field, Jay had spotted movement among the tall weeds. He steadied his rifle, his pulse steady, his focus razor-sharp. He had seen too many fields destroyed to hesitate now. The shot came swift and certain, bang. The wild boar fell instantly, its fall echoing across the open ground. The sound sent the rest of the herd scattering in panic, their shapes vanishing into the shadows. But it was too late. Kevin's team had already surrounded the area, forming an unbreakable perimeter. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The chase was on, and the outcome was inevitable. Every shot fired tonight carried not just power, but purpose, to defend the farmers who depended on this land. The strategy meeting. As the day gave way to dusk, the hunters gathered in a tight circle, heads bent in quiet discussion. The air was cool and tense, the sky glowing with the last traces of sunlight. They had to be smart now, the remaining boars were clever and fast. Kevin studied his map, marking movements and escape routes. When the plan was set, the team split again, their determination renewed. Moments later, Kevin spotted a lone boar breaking away from the group, wandering back toward the feeding grounds. With no hesitation, he took aim and fired. The shot landed clean. The animal dropped where it stood. Another threat neutralized. This wasn't luck, it was strategy, teamwork, and precision forged from years of experience. With advanced equipment and unspoken coordination, the team had turned chaos into control. The herd showdown. Just as the night settled in, a radio call came through. A herd was gathering near the far edge of the field. Kevin gave the signal. The team moved swiftly, their footsteps silent, their breathing steady. They spread out under the moonlight, rifles ready, eyes locked on the dark shapes ahead. Then came the countdown: 3, 2, 1. A storm of gunfire erupted, echoing through the night. The herd scattered in confusion, but within seconds, the threat was subdued. The silence that followed felt heavy yet peaceful. The battle was over. The fields were safe again. This victory wasn't just about the hunt, it was the result of unity, skill, and the relentless will to protect what matters most. Every hunter stood proud, grateful for the teamwork that had made the mission a success, all under strict supervision and within designated grounds. The American Crisis. Across America, similar battles were being fought. Endless fields turned to wastelands overnight. Crops vanished as if swallowed by the earth itself, leaving behind shattered hopes and ruined harvests. The culprit was the same, the relentless wild boar. From coast to coast, farmers cried out for help, their livelihoods hanging by a thread. But there were those who answered the call. Skilled hunters stepped forward, ready to confront the chaos. Their mission was clear: defend the farmlands, restore balance, and reclaim the peace stolen by these destructive invaders. It was more than hunting. It was a fight for survival, for food security, and for the very heart of rural America. The mission begins. Before dawn, preparations began. Rifles gleamed under dim light as scopes were adjusted, ammunition checked, and gear secured. Modern technology had become their greatest ally: high-powered rifles, thermal scopes, suppressors to mask their positions, and advanced binoculars that could detect the slightest movement in the distance. Every tool served one purpose: to ensure safety and precision. The hunters knew what awaited them: danger, adrenaline, and the unpredictable nature of the wild. Yet their resolve never wavered. The mission was underway. Each step forward was a promise to protect, each trigger pull a stand against destruction. The hunt for peace had begun. The first location. Kevin led the way toward the first field of the day. The team moved silently through the grass, spreading out in perfect formation. They knew the area well. This was where the boars had struck before. Minutes passed, tension thickening with every breath. Then, from the eastern side, Jay's voice came over the radio. He had spotted movement, a small herd entering the field. The animals began rooting aggressively, tearing through the soft soil. Jay steadied his rifle, eyes locked on the largest boar leading the group. One deep breath, one steady aim, and then, boom. The bullet hit, but the beast tried to flee. The air filled with shouts and barking hounds. The hunt was on again. The chain reaction. The explosion of sound sent the rest of the herd into chaos. They bolted in all directions, crashing through the underbrush in a storm of dust and fear. But the hunters were faster. Rabbit, positioned to the west, caught sight of a straggler, a lone boar separated from the group. He raised his weapon, aimed carefully, and fired. The sharp echo rolled through the trees. The target dropped instantly. The team's spirit soared. The first victory of the day fueled their momentum, driving them to push deeper, faster, more determined than ever to end this threat for good. James roadblock. Farther ahead, James crouched near the roadblock, his rifle resting on a mound of dirt. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Then, a sudden rustle broke the stillness. A massive boar burst from the thicket, charging straight toward the field. In one smooth motion, James rose and fired. The shot echoed across the open space. The boar staggered and fell, its charge cut short. The silence that followed carried the weight of relief. One bullet had prevented another disaster. Another field was safe, and another family could breathe easier. The double strike. Moments later, the distant barking of hounds signaled new movement. James and his men quickly followed the sound, their boots crunching softly on the dry leaves. Through the trees, They spotted a large shape moving slowly, unaware of their presence. James steadied his weapon, patient as always. He waited, studying the creature's rhythm. When the time came, he pulled the trigger, one clean, thunderous shot. The boar collapsed instantly. The danger was gone before it could even begin. Every success like this meant another night of safety for the farmers who depended on them. This wasn't sport. It was duty, a mission to protect life and land. The Western Trail. After a short rest, the team advanced westward. The forest grew thicker here, the air heavy with scent and shadow. Somewhere ahead, the dogs began to bark, their voices sharp and urgent. Kevin froze, scanning the brush. Then, with explosive force, a massive wild boar burst out, charging directly at him. There was no time to think, only instinct. He raised his rifle, fired once, and the creature dropped less than a meter away. The ground trembled as it fell. Had he hesitated even for a heartbeat, the story might have ended differently. In the wild, survival favors the calm and the quick. The final charge. The tension hadn't eased. Moments after the last shot, another alert came through. The hounds were barking again. The signal was clear. One last target remained. The hunters moved swiftly, forming a tight circle. Every sense was heightened, every movement deliberate. The brush parted, revealing a large boar trying to escape. James took the shot. The sound cracked through the night air. The beast fell instantly, ending the hunt at last. The forest went quiet again. The team stood still, surrounded by the fading echoes of battle. Their mission was complete. Another victory earned. Another harvest protected. Each member knew this fight was far from over, but tonight, the land could rest. The Australian frontier. In the heart of New South Wales, a silent crisis is spreading across the land. With rising temperatures, changing weather patterns, and vast open farmlands providing perfect cover, the wild boar population has exploded beyond imagination. Once confined to remote mountain forests, they've now invaded fertile plains and farming regions, destroying everything in their path. It's estimated that over 8 million wild boars now roam freely across this territory, each herd capable of wiping out an entire crop in a single night. Farmers stand helpless as their fields are reduced to wastelands, their year's labor turned to nothing but shredded soil and broken stalks. Every hoofprint tells the story of destruction, and every night, the fear grows stronger. This is the new Australian frontier, a land where man and beast collide in an unending struggle for survival. The hunt begins. In the face of this threat, standing by is not an option. We assembled our team, preparing every piece of gear and every plan down to the last detail. The mission was clear: protect the farmlands, control the invaders, and push back the tide of destruction. With determination burning in our hearts, we set out from town and roared into the wilderness on our rugged off-road vehicles. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of the hunt. Soon, the trained hounds caught the first scent trail. Their barks pierced the still air, guiding us toward the enemy. Through dense undergrowth and open plains, the chase began. The wild boar darted through the scrub, but our dogs moved faster, herding and trapping it in a tight circle. My pulse steadied. I raised my rifle, took aim, and pulled the trigger. The shot cracked through the quiet, clean and decisive. The target fell instantly. The mission had begun. The first success. The first victory of the day filled the team with renewed energy. Spirits lifted, confidence surged, and the hunt pressed on. Yet, the terrain stretched endlessly: vast grasslands, patches of woodland, uneven ridges that made every step a challenge. Riding across the open plains on our Yamaha Viking, we scanned every direction, eyes alert for even the faintest sign of movement. Then, at last, a dark silhouette flickered across the horizon. I slowed, steadied my aim, adjusted for range, and fired. The bullet found its mark. The beast staggered, then fell. A second shot confirmed the kill. The rhythm of the hunt took hold, precise, relentless, controlled. Each shot echoed through the land like a statement of intent. The team worked in unison, the coordination flawless. The field that once trembled under wild hooves was finally regaining its calm. The control zone. Momentum was on our side. There was no time to pause. We continued to sweep the area with unwavering focus, determined to prevent any chance of regrouping. The sound of gunfire soon rolled from every direction, each shot a sign that our comrades were locking down another sector. Within minutes, the zone was secured. The once chaotic field now lay under full control. Every hunter held their position, scanning for stragglers, ensuring no threat remained. The smell of gunpowder lingered in the air, mingling with the earthy scent of freshly disturbed soil. The operation was unfolding perfectly, clean, coordinated, and disciplined. The message was clear: this was no longer the wild boar's territory. Order had been restored. The herd struck. But deep within the tall grass, another challenge awaited. A whole herd was moving silently through the cover, unaware that we were already closing in. The signal was given. Every rifleman took aim, breaths synchronized. When the moment came, I squeezed the trigger, and a storm of precision gunfire erupted. The first boar dropped instantly, followed by another, and another. The herd scattered in confusion, but every escape route was already covered. There was nowhere left to run. The crack of each shot echoed like thunder rolling through the plains. The coordination of the team was unmatched, every move deliberate, every strike measured. Within moments, the field fell silent again. The grass swayed gently where the herd had stood moments before. The enemy was defeated, and the land reclaimed once more. The southern pursuit. No sooner had we caught our breath than word came through the radio: more wild boars had been sighted to the south. Thomas, our fastest rider, volunteered to intercept. Without wasting a second, he jumped onto his ATV and tore across the rugged terrain. The vehicle roared as it darted between trees, over hills, and through gullies, kicking up clouds of dust behind him. Guided by instinct and skill, he closed in on the fleeing target. The beast turned briefly, its dark shape cutting through the fading light. Thomas adjusted his aim, calm as stone, and fired. The bullet struck true. The massive body crumpled, motionless on the ground. The radio crackled with his voice: "Target down." A clean hit, a flawless pursuit. Another danger erased before it could spread. The final verdict. The hunt was reaching its climax. The heat of the afternoon pressed down like a weight, every breath heavy, every step deliberate. Then suddenly, a call broke through the static. One boar had broken formation and disappeared into the brush, veering left toward a rocky slope. Thomas relayed the coordinates. I accelerated instantly, the wind rushing past as my ATV tore through the uneven path. The animal was fast, unpredictable, darting in and out of sight. We circled, anticipating its route, every second critical. Finally, it paused, a single misstep. I steadied my rifle, lined up the sights, and squeezed the trigger. The sharp crack echoed across the valley, bouncing between the rocks like a final verdict. The boar fell still. Silence followed, broken only by the hum of the engines cooling down. Patience, precision, and teamwork had once again triumphed. This victory wasn't luck. It was the product of countless hours of discipline and unity under pressure. The final moment. Evening shadows crept slowly across the horizon, painting the land in hues of amber and red. The hunt was nearly over, but the forest still held its breath. Then, just as we prepared to leave, a faint movement caught my eye, a dark figure slipping between the trees. The last challenge of the day. Everyone froze. I raised my rifle one final time, focused, and fired. The report rang sharp and clear, echoing into the distance. The final target fell, sealing the success of our mission. A wave of quiet satisfaction swept through the team. We gathered our gear, checked our surroundings, and began the journey back to the village. The vehicles rolled through the dirt roads as the night air cooled. In the rear view, the farmlands lay calm once more, safe under the fading glow of twilight. Today's trophies weren't just signs of a successful hunt, they were symbols of protection, proof that the people of this land would never surrender their home to the wild. The French front line. Across the heart of France, the war between man and beast rages on. Wild boars, once symbols of strength and wilderness, have become a relentless threat. Each year, they destroy more than 3,000 hectares of farmland, tearing through crops and livelihoods alike. Farmers struggle to recover from their devastation, and local authorities have no choice but to authorize hunting all year round. This is not a mere sport, it's a necessity, a fight to protect the land that feeds the nation. And at the front lines of this silent war stand the hunters, ready to restore balance to the French countryside. The French dawn. At the break of dawn, a thin mist blankets the rolling fields as Nick's team sets out. Every sound is amplified, the crunch of boots on soil, the distant cry of hounds, the whisper of wind brushing through leaves. The fresh tracks of wild boar glisten in the dew, a silent challenge to the hunters who follow. Step by step, they close in, their senses sharpened. Suddenly, the tranquility is shattered, a monstrous shadow bursts from the undergrowth, its massive frame cutting through the mist. For a brief moment, time freezes. Nick steadies his rifle, his breath slow and deliberate. Then, the sharp crack of the gunshot echoes across the valley. Precision. Control. Victory. The hunt has begun. The hillside chase. The rugged hillside becomes a theater of chaos as the hounds lock onto the scent. Barking ferociously, they drive a heavy boar out from its cover. The beast crashes through brush and stone, desperate to escape. But fate has already drawn its line. Nick is waiting ahead. His eyes narrow, every muscle tense. The boar breaks into the open, its tusks gleaming in the morning light. A single heartbeat, then another. Nick fires. The bullet strikes true, cutting through the air like lightning. The beast collapses mid-stride, its charge silenced in an instant. The hillside grows still once again, the hunters exchanging quiet nods of respect. One clean shot, one flawless execution. The southern slope. Further south, James takes position beneath a canopy of oaks. The dense thicket hides unseen dangers, but his patience is unshakable. Every leaf rustle, every gust of wind could signal movement. Then, suddenly, it happens. A hulking shadow emerges from behind a thick trunk, its body brushing against branches as it moves. James doesn't think, he acts. His finger tightens, the shot rings out sharp and steady. The bullet finds its mark. The boar drops instantly, disappearing into the ferns. James exhales, lowering his rifle. Another victory earned through instinct and discipline. The southern slope is secure, the land momentarily safe from destruction. The relentless charge. The sun climbs higher, drenching the forest in gold. Sweat drips, breaths grow heavier, but the hunters press on. The boars are cunning, their movements unpredictable. Suddenly, the underbrush explodes, a massive creature charges forward, eyes wild, rage unleashed. Mick reacts in a split second, reloading as the hounds bark and circle. The sound of pounding hooves and snapping branches fills the air. Then, silence breaks, one precise shot cuts through the chaos. The boar stumbles and falls, skidding across the earth. The charge ends as abruptly as it began. Another close call. Another reminder that in these woods, a single second decides who survives. The calm before the next. After hours of relentless pursuit, an eerie stillness settles over the forest. The hounds pant quietly, their ears twitching to catch the faintest sound. Nick's team stands ready, scanning the horizon. 30 long minutes pass, no movement, no rustle. Perhaps the gunfire drove them deeper underground. But Nick knows better. The silence of the forest often hides the next storm. A quick signal from Thomas breaks the stillness. Faint tracks have been spotted leading north. The hunters reposition swiftly, fanning out across the terrain. Then, out of the corner of his eye, Nick spots movement, a dark form shifting behind the thick trees. It's time. The perfect shot. He steadies his rifle once more, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility. The boar steps into view, massive and defiant. Nick's finger hovers, his heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the earth. The air is tense, electric. Then, a single breath, a squeeze, and the bullet flies. The sound of impact echoes like thunder. The creature falls, marking another clean and final strike. Before the team can even celebrate, the sharp blast of a horn cuts through the forest. More movement, another target. The boar barrels toward them from the west. Nick pivots, raises his weapon, and fires again. A flawless hit. The forest falls silent, the blockade holds strong. The last stand. There's no room for error now. The last of the herd must be taken down before nightfall. The hunters move like shadows, synchronized, wordless. Another dark figure appears, lean, hairless, fierce. Bang catches sight first, lifting his rifle with calm precision. A breath later, the sharp crack of the gunshot slices through the stillness. The boar drops instantly. One after another, a series of shots follow, echoing across the valley. Each one is a declaration of victory, of protection, of balance restored. These men are not just hunters, they are guardians of the land, standing between chaos and peace. The end of the day. As dusk paints the horizon in shades of orange and red, the forest finally exhales. The echoes of battle fade into quiet rustles of leaves. The wild boars retreat, their threat subdued, at least for now. Nick and his team gather the trophies of a long, hard day's work. Their faces reflect both exhaustion and pride. The victory belongs not only to their rifles, but to their unity, discipline, and unyielding resolve. Tonight, the farmers will sleep peacefully, their fields safe under the watch of those who dared to fight for them. But as the night deepens, one question lingers: how long before the forest awakens once more?